Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. Today, I want to talk to you about trust. Over the years, I've worked with people who are just naturally trusting. They don't think about not trusting until somebody breaks a promise. And then sometimes I meet people that trust nobody. In fact, one of the most difficult clients I've ever had when I was practicing law was this woman who owned her own business. And she always told me, Allison, I don't trust anybody. And I found it very difficult to work with her because she was always thinking the worst of people. She didn't trust the people who work for her. She didn't trust her clients, which made it very difficult to negotiate agreements because she was always thinking about, well, what's the worst thing that could happen here and how can I protect myself? And yes, in business, you need to be thinking about that, but you also need to be practical that you want to have a good relationship with people. She trusted so few people that she wouldn't even go out to restaurants because she didn't trust people to cook her food. You might think she could have had some mental illness. I'm not really sure. I just know that this extreme lack of trust for others wreaked havoc on her life and it kept her isolated. It kept her from having really good relationships with her employees and her clients. And sure, there were people over the years that did break contracts. There were disappointing employees, but there were also really good ones. But when you're never trusting anybody, there's always a screen or like a shield between you and the rest of the world. And I think all of us understand what it's like for someone to break our trust and how hard it is to rebound from that. But the problem is that if we make our life about not trusting people because of things that happened in the past, then our hearts won't be open when something happens to us that we can trust, that can be intimate, that can be special. We won't get close to an employee or someone we work with. We won't have intimate relationships. We're going to keep pulling away from the world because we're going to think everybody's horrible, because our heart won't be open enough to have the experience that is in front of us. Because all of us are going to get hurt in life. That's life. But there's also so much joy and there's so much depth. But without trust, it's going to be hard to experience that. But the truth is, in all of our experiences, it really doesn't matter who we decide to trust or who we don't decide to trust. It's about how much we trust ourselves. Because if we could foster trust within ourselves, pure trust within ourselves, then we know no matter what happens, we'll always be okay. That we could weather through a storm when someone breaks our heart, or we have a bad business transaction, or someone hurts our feelings at work. Even if we allowed ourselves to open up, even if we allow ourselves to be intimate, we will have enjoyed the depth of each experience. And some will lead to beautiful friendships and beautiful work relationships, achieving our goals, being on our path. And some things will break our heart, but we'll rebound from them if we trust that we can handle whatever comes our way. That's what it is. The reason why we look for certainty is that we don't really trust ourselves. We could say we don't trust life, but life is always uncertain. The only thing we know is ourselves in the moment. So if we trust ourselves, then we know no matter what happens, we'll figure it out. And that's really the best way to live. Because then we can live with an open heart and we can pursue all the things that we want. I've met so many people over the years that always make it about the other person. And it's not that we don't have to be aware of the people that we're dealing with. Sometimes it's very clear we shouldn't be involved with somebody. But sometimes it's not. But if you center yourself and you trust yourself and you love yourself, then the truth will always be by your side. Because every moment is new. Every experience is new. It's like that saying where no snowflake can be the same, no moment can be the same. And the people you meet cannot be the same. And the experiences you have and the businesses you go into, everything is always new. But the only way our lives can change is if we come to that situation new. We always think that we're the same and life is different, but that's not true. As life changes, we change. But the only way we're going to get the most out of our lives is if we keep our hearts open, which means we can't let the past shut us down. We can't let other people shut us down, experiences shut us down. We have to take the wisdom from what we've learned, and we have to trust that we will figure out our lives. If we look for certainty, we're going to shut down. If we live in the past, we're going to shut down. We have to remember that life has maybe. So it's ever happening to us. Maybe it's good. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe we could accept it and still be okay. But as we live in maybe and we look at uncertainty, if we don't trust ourselves, we won't sleep. We'll have anxiety. We'll have stress because we'll think whatever is to come, it's going to knock us out. It's going to knock us down. But if you trust yourself, you're not thinking about what's coming because you know whatever happens, you will figure it out. And that's the best way to live. That's how uncertainty becomes our friend because we become less fearful. If we trust ourselves, then if we meet someone we can't trust, we'll figure it out. And if we trust ourselves and we make a bad business decision, we'll figure it out. But what I've also found, if you trust yourself, you are more centered, you are more open-hearted, you're more intuitive, and you'll see things more for what they are, and you will make better decisions. You will attract better people. You will attract new opportunities because we don't see how our fear is shutting us down. It doesn't allow us to meet new people. It doesn't allow us to venture into new ideas and new businesses because we think the world knows more than us. We think there's something outside of ourselves that we need to trust in order to be okay. But the truth is, it starts within ourselves. And we start to truly trust ourselves, we will gain the strength and the know-how and the ability to weather any storm. And that's ultimately what we want. Remember, certainty is limited. We've already lived out the past. We want certainty because we don't trust ourselves. Because when we trust ourselves, we don't need to know all the answers. In fact, life becomes more exciting because you know new things are going to happen. You just need to show up for them and do the best you can. And all of us have this innate ability to live our best life, to have opportunity, to have new ideas, to have creativity, to meet new people. It's all in there for all of us. We just have to create a relationship with us, not with anybody else. The world can break our heart over again and again and again and again. But if we love ourselves and we trust ourselves, we will keep getting up and keep experiencing life. And our path will keep unfolding. And I promise you, you will find success. You will find love. You will find friendship. You will find wholeness. And all you need to do is know that the person you are is enough. And trust that person. Trust that inner voice. Trust your path because you are already everything you need to be. You are already whole. You do not need anybody in your life to tell you that. So how do we trust ourselves? We turn down the volume on the outside world. We turn down the past. We turn down the future. We just center ourselves in this moment and we breathe. And we feel ourselves. And we ask ourselves, if I trusted myself right now, what would I do? How could I be more loving to myself? What are my goals? What are my passions? And what's holding me back? And remember, you only have you. From birth to death, you will be with yourself. It's funny, we try to count on other people, but we're the only person that we will always be with. So we have to count on ourselves. We have no choice. That's what's so interesting about it. We have no choice but to trust ourselves. And we spend our whole lives trying to get other people to give us the answers when all along it's been within ourselves. And we cultivate self-trust by living, by listening to our inner voice, by honoring our thoughts, and knowing that the outside world is just noise, and deep within ourselves are the answers for our life. And we don't want to shut our hearts down because our heart leads. Our heart leads us to the places we need to be, the people we need to meet. And life's not about avoiding being hurt and making the safest decisions. Life is about living our best lives. And we do that with an open heart and trust that no matter what comes our way, we will figure it out. And with self-trust and self-love, we can embrace my favorite maybe statement. Maybe the best is yet to come. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my book, The Gift of Maybe, it's available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, please leave a review on iTunes.